What's going on, everyone? Pastor Wil here with another SOAP update for you. And today we are continuing in the book of Luke, and we are looking at Luke chapter 8. Now, this chapter is probably one of the powerhouses of this gospel. I mean, Luke writes all these amazing things that Jesus done, from talking about the parable of the sower, the seed of salvation that this farmer is throwing around, and then Jesus explains that parable to his disciples. It goes on to talk about the lamp under a jar, and how there's this moment where Jesus seemingly kind of disowns his mother and his brothers, to talk about how the people who listen to his teachings and follow it are his family. He goes on to talk about how Jesus calms the storm, how Jesus heals a man from a demon, how Jesus heals this woman and then heals this man's daughter. This is a crazy chapter as you're reading it, and there is so much to unpack. So as I'm trying to sit here and figure out, well, what am I going to talk about and what am I going to pull out for SOAP? There's just so much that you can pull out in this chapter. But I want to look at verse 22 and all the way down to verse 25, where Jesus calms the storm. Funny little side note, the first time I ever gave a message, I was about maybe 17 years old, and I got to speak at a youth group, and this was the very passage that I got to preach on. And it was very simple. When we're in the middle of a storm, we have to fix our eyes on Jesus. I'm pretty sure we've all heard that related to this story, that it's just simple. When we're in the storm of life, we have to fix our eyes on Jesus and everything will be okay. But why don't we read it together and then really pull out what this portion of scripture is saying? In verse 22 of chapter 8, it says this: "One day he got into the boat with his disciples," him being Jesus, "and he said to them, 'Let us go across to the other side of the lake.' So they set out. And as they sailed, he fell asleep." And this shows us the humanity of Jesus. Jesus, who's now doing ministry all the time, everyone vying for his attention, he took naps when he needed to. So as they're sailing all to go to the other side of the lake, Jesus falls asleep in the boat. Continuing on in verse 23. "And a windstorm came down on the lake, and they were filling with water, and they were in danger. And they went and woke him up, saying, 'Master, Master, we are perishing.' And he awoke, and he rebuked the wind and the raging waves, and they ceased. And there was calm." In verse 25, it says, "He said to them, 'Where is your faith?' And they were afraid. And they marveled, saying to one another, 'Who then is this, that he commands even the winds and water, and they obey him?'" What a crazy story. Think about it. Try and wipe away the cheesy Bible stories, but really read this passage for the first time. The disciples and Jesus are on a lake, and the storm is happening, and they're afraid for their lives. They're on this lake, and these waves are hitting the boat, and they're filling with water, and they're thinking, we're about to die. It wasn't just this simple dramatic moment. It was this real, big, deep, dramatic moment where they're thinking, we're going to die, and the person that we're following and we gave up everything for is asleep in the boat. So then they go to Jesus and they say, "Hey, wake up, we're about to die. Everything that could go wrong is going wrong." And Jesus simply stands up and rebukes the wind and the waves, and then there's calm. And the question he says to them next is, "Where is your faith? I'm right here in the boat with you. Where is your faith?" And then as he asks this question, I love what it says. It says, "And then they were afraid." They were just afraid that they were going to perish by a storm. And now they're afraid of the question, "Where is your faith?" As they watch the Son of Man stand up to a storm and say, "Quiet." This is not simply just fix our eyes on Jesus, which we need to be doing during any circumstance or season in our life. But this is showing us the power, the raw power and authority of God, that not only that the storms and creation itself obeys him to the point of calming in the amidst peril, it's saying, who then are we that we wouldn't obey? If all of creation itself is obeying the commands of Jesus, shouldn't we also? They were afraid because Jesus could crush them. But they know and have this relationship with Jesus, knowing he wouldn't. This is an amazing chapter that not only should we focus on Jesus in the storm, but let us realize who is the God we serve. He is amazing and powerful, and he is the Almighty. Where today is your faith? Are you putting it in political ideologies? Are you putting it in your job? Are you putting it in your finances? Are you putting it in the one who can literally calm storms? Not dramatic storms of life, actual, real storms. They thought they were afraid that they were going to die from the waves. But then they realized the real one to fear is Christ, and they don't have to. That is true power. Today, as you are going throughout your day, answer this question: where is your faith?